What does the Bible say happens when you die? It's not nearly as clear as you might think. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. When you look at the Old Testament is pretty clear that after death, everyone goes to the same place. They go to Sheol. Sheol is the underworld, the realm of the dead, and everybody is there, good, bad, whatever, and it's sort of spoken of as being a negative to neutral existence. And this would have been no surprise to the ancient people who were first reading this or hearing this, because that's really what all the people in the ancient world, in that part of the world, thought at that time. But they did have a really beautiful phrase that I love, that they said that, like, the first time you hear this is in Genesis with Abraham. When Abraham dies, it says he was gathered to his fathers, to his people. And that actually refers to their burial practices. They would allow a body to decompose and become just the bones, and after that they would gather the bones up and they would put them in a place with the bones of other relatives. And it was this idea that there is community after death, and that's sort of like in that box. It was an ossuary, but also in the afterlife, everybody's there together. By the time of Jesus, there was a debate as to whether or not the soul was permanent. The Pharisees, which is the religious group that Jesus's theology seems to be closest to, they did believe in the permanence of the soul and an afterlife, but there were people that said, no, there is nothing after they die. And they find some of this in the book of Ecclesiastes. So in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, it says, "For the living know that they die, but the dead know nothing, and even their memory is gone." And the idea was that, okay, that actually could indicate that there is no permanence of the soul. But to be clear, that's a minority view and kind of always has been in sort of Judeo-Christian streams. But during the time of Jesus, there was a bigger question, which is it was kind of, how permanent is the soul? Because there were some people that said, in the afterlife, there is a good place and then there is nothing. And so if you were particularly wicked in this life, the punishment was that you ceased to exist. And a lot of scholars believe that Paul had this view because he talks about the good rewards for the righteous, but he never talks about anything for the wicked in the afterlife. There's also this Greek idea of Hades from that polytheistic tradition that shows up in Jesus's actual words. He tells a parable of Lazarus and the rich man, and the parable has them both going to Hades. That's the word that he uses. And Hades is an eternal destination for everyone, kind of like Sheol in the Old Testament. And everyone goes there, and some people have a good afterlife and some people don't. In this story, the rich person did not have a great afterlife experience, and Lazarus got to hang out with Abraham in the afterlife. Then another really popular idea during the time of Jesus was like a temporary punishing place where if you lived a good life, you would go on to heaven or something really great. And then if you did not live a good life, then there was sort of a temporary punishing place, the Catholic idea of purgatory, where you would have some punishment, you would work out, you would pay off the debt of whatever it was that you owed. And people even point to Jesus. There's a thing that he says that, like, you're going to go before a judge and hopefully get in, because if not, you will have to pay, you won't get out until you pay the last penny. Oh, that's Matthew chapter 5. And then, of course, there is what everybody thinks that the Bible is very clear on, which is like an eternal, permanent soul, and everybody goes to an eternal destination, either to a good one or a bad one, based on their finite experience here on earth, whether or not they were good or bad here on earth. And you can find that in a bunch of places, but you don't really find it all put together in any single place. And that's why it's really important to say, if you are a person who the Bible is your sacred text, when it comes to the afterlife, this is a choice that you need to make, that you get to make, because the Bible is not anywhere close to clear on exactly what happens.